Good evening. Hello. How is everyone tonight? Welcome to Grow Fam TV. Is that backwards? Let me go fix that.
There we
Yay.
go. Perfect.
Now it's not backwards. I'm a little backwards anyway, but who all's in here? Hey, Ash, thanks for coming in and hitting that followers. Hi, Dave. Hi, Sherry. Hi, Max. JT's here. John Rando's here. Jason Wood's here. Canna Queen. Hello. Hello. Hey, Sheena. Hey, Mike. How are you? Justin Jenkins. Nice to see you guys in here tonight. Go ahead and do the share, like, follow, invite friends. Hey, Syntax. How are you? Hey, Mona. Hi, Deb. Hi, Beth. Hey, Greg. Yeah, lots of people jumping in. Debbie Pot, haven't seen you in a while. Hey, Debbie. Yeah, I need to share it out on my phone too, but my phone's in there in the plant cam. Look at this lady. She's not ready to pick for seeds, but she's definitely ready to pick for buds. Vacay was great. Vacay was great. That beautiful lady over there is Key Lime Crush. See if I can get this bigger. Oh, that's too big. Works for her, not for me. Yeah, no, it's very, very, very key lime. And you know what's got me, and I noticed since I got back in town, I didn't notice it before I left. Maybe it wasn't that time or the stage yet. But when I got back to town, the house is rank with dank. It is, and it's the same plant that I smell on both ends.
Yeah.
Because we moved that one sour
apple auto.
Out of this tent and
Yeah.
put her by her. She went to the bathroom and then she went by herself. So both ends of the house smell like that sour apple auto really loud. Now I'm sure that there's others undertones that I can smell, but those two are just crazy loud. They're so loud I couldn't sleep the first night. I'm not joking. Those plants are loud and rowdy. They have been getting rowdy on me. I'm going to grab my tray so I can roll something I didn't roll for the occasion.
So, Nancy, I'm going to read Mona's question. She says, I need to move 3 plants from my brother-in-law's house to mine. They're just all starting flowers. Is there any way to help them so they don't get stressed with the move? And the first thing I'm going to say, obviously, on that one is you're going to want to try and move them during their light cycle. Okay, so
yeah, when lights are on.
When they're supposed to be, if they're supposed to be dark already and they're already on 12/12, this is for a photo period, then definitely move them during their daytime, right? If it's an autoflower, they aren't really going to care. So you can kind of move them anytime. The light cycle doesn't matter for autos. So.
And it depends on their size, their height, and their girth, how I like to move them. Sometimes those plants that are in flower are already pretty big. You need to kind of truss them up, tie them up like a Christmas tree before you put them in there, because the shaking of those and the weight of those branches can cause all kinds of splitting. If they're too big, you can use a U-Haul and strap them to the wall. I've seen that done.
Done that before.
Minivan usually works really great with the seats out.
Yep.
Only suggestions, if you're not in a legal state, black out your windows. Even if you are in a legal state and it's just getting started,
just don't want to be hassled.
Yeah, block out your windows. If they're small enough to put into like a cardboard box and shut up, that's ideal. Is to get them inside of something and then wedge something at the bottom around the pot to make it super stable.
Yeah, if they're too big to fit in your car while sitting on the floorboard, I mean, that's just kind of, an issue. You're going to have to carefully bend them gently. You'll be able to bend them. You want to try and not snap them. If they get snapped, it's not that big of a deal. Usually they'll recover from the snap anyways and just get a big knuckle right there. So
You can wrap them in a sheet and lay them down sideways, but
Yeah.
that's for a short ride. A short ride.
mhm.
I can't even see if she said anything back. Hey, Liv Cliff. Paul Woods here. Good evening, Michael Millen. Hey there, Sir Steve-O. It's Nancy time. Time for school, he says. Yeah, the work van with no windows will work great, but what you'll need to do is make sure that they're stabilized on the floor area. Even if that means putting in a bunch of stuff that you don't need to take, like cinder blocks. I've used cinder blocks to hold them still.
Or boxes.
1 gallons. I turn the cinder block on its side and put a 1 gallon right in it.
Yeah. And I've done it before where I've taken like a few plants and I tie them together. The pots. Like I got a ratchet strap and ratchet strap the pots together so they hold each other out.
Yeah, make them into a tripod situation. They're a lot less likely to fall
Mhm.
over. What is that? Oh, it can't possibly be any good. No. Oh, it's coming out of the inside. Mama has
Oh,
done
no.
chewed up everything.
Ooh, Mona, that's not good. That's not good to hear. I hope he comes out okay. But you can look at his lights, right? Look at where the lights are plugged in and see if they're plugged into a timer or see if there's any sort of controller, right? It is safer to treat them as photo periods because an autoflower doesn't care if you give it 12 hours. Well, it does. An autoflower will care if you give it 12 hours of light, but it'll do fine. It's just going to grow less. You can give it more
Right.
than 12 hours of light, but yeah, see if it's plugged into a timer or controller, and then otherwise, if it's not, just assume that the light's on all the time. And if that's the case and it's going into flower, then you probably have some autos.
Yeah, and it depends on how far into flower they are. If they're a long way into the flower, then it won't matter at all when you move them. They won't care. If they're beginning stages of flower, you can stress them out. But
Yeah.
if they're on the downhill slope, it won't matter if you interrupt their dark or their light, or once they've turned yellow and faded out and all that, there's not much that we can do. They're on automatic course.
Yep.
Who's got questions for Locomotive tonight? He's the man with the mind is in the building.
I see you, Sherry.
Hey, Sherry.
Well, otherwise, besides, just questions, which at any time, everybody just feel free to ask questions as always. But is there an agenda
She
item
says
for tonight?
2 are just starting. 1 is close to harvest.
Okay.
And they're all in the same tent. They could be photos.
You'll just have to check the timer, really.
Yeah, check around the grow situation, see if they're on a timer. Possibly maybe just try to go over there every couple of days and water where they're at and see if you can't baby them along. And maybe everybody with their fingers crossed and prayers sent, your brother will be able to talk to you before you actually have to move them.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's hope that Mona's brother does better. Hey, Chaz Miller, it is late flower time, and this plant we have up on the screen is in late flower. Yeah, no, that key lime crush in there doesn't have a straight white hair on it. Now, what's going to happen next? It's at its peak of potency right now, and what's going to happen to it next is if we don't pick it, and we're not going to because we're doing it for seeds, it's going to throw out a whole brand new set of new white hairs.
Yep.
And you're going to be like, oh my God, it's growing again. It is growing again, and it'll do it. What I've seen it happen 3-4 times. Yeah. But the more times it sends out those brand new hairs, the more chance you have of making it herm.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's trying to do. It's like, I'm done. Oh, wait, I'm not done. Let's try again. I'm done. Oh, wait, we're not done. I'm going to try again. And after a couple of tries, they herm out. They make little male flowers.
And that old growth, it gets all bunched up closer and closer together.
You end up with bud rot. You end up with botrytis in there, or what is that's not what the gray one's called. Is that
Powdery
botrytis?
mildew? Well,
No,
botrytis is inside the bud. It can be gray or brown or black sometimes.
It's nasty, whatever it is. And for you outdoor growers, right now, you need to be looking at bud rot too, but it's from a different reason. You're going to have these little brown dead spots in the bud, and there's a little worm in there. It's a Eurasian hemp moth.
Mm-hmm.
And the hemp moth lays her eggs inside the flower, and then they burrow into the stem, and you won't even find that. You'll be pulling out bud, and the bug will still be in there. You got to go deep to get those little suckers.
So I saw one question pass on above, which is what nutrients are good for autos. And I've seen some auto specific nutrients. I wouldn't use auto specific nutrients. I would just treat them the same as any other plant. They need the same nutrients, mostly nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Some people say, oh, don't feed your autos half the amount of food as a normal plant. And I don't do that. But that's also fine to do because a lot of the times people are feeding twice as much as they should anyways.
And half is just perfect.
So, it works out anyways. But they don't have any special nutrient requirements. The only thing you want to watch for is that when you're not going to be able to flip them to flower, right? So with a photo period, you might start feeding them flower food a week or two before flipping them. So that when they flip, they're burst into the seams with that phosphorus and potassium. With an auto, you aren't going to time it that closely. You'll know after, about 30 to 45 days. Usually it's going to go into flower. So I would just say give your flower nutrients early. That's the only thing I would do different for autos,
Yeah, so most of the nutrient companies, if they're not listed, you can call them and ask them for an auto flower schedule on their newts, and they'll give you a shortened down schedule. Are we having a weird echoey thing with the sound? Or
maybe we can mute the plant cam.
Yeah, I think that might help. We'll mute the plant cam.
And I think they wanted to see the plants up close again. There was also a question about LED lights. Why are LED lights of the same power radically differently priced sometimes? It's because of the quality of the driver, which is what converts the power from AC on the wall to DC that the LED needs, the LED quality, and the efficiency of both of those, right? And on a more basic level, it can be a difference in advertising. Sometimes LEDs will say, hey, this is a 1,000-watt LED. But it's not a 1,000-watt LED. They mean it's equivalent to 1,000 watts of some other light, right?
Right.
So when you're looking on Amazon, for example, for those 500-watt and 1,000-watt lights, you got to actually kind of dig in sometimes and see, well, how much power is this actually consuming? And that's the actual power of the light. So dig in. If it says 1,000 watts, it's not necessarily 1,000 watts, especially if it's like $50,
Well, I can tell by the electric bill that those Viper Spectras are pulling what they say they're pulling. They're probably about 600 watts a piece. Just from the looks of the electric bill every month.
So,
The best soil.
Well, the best soil is True Living organic soil.
Yeah, the best soil is the one that nature made with all the good microbes and little fungi and bacterias and springtails. And if it's really alive and it's good living soil, you don't need to add anything to it but water and weight.
It's compost, basically, right? Plants have in their bodies everything a plant needs. That makes sense to me. Like, if it doesn't have what it needs, it's not going to grow right or it's going to die. But compost gives you the exact ratio, basically, of what plants need because it's what was in old plants' bodies. So compost and True Living soil is really the ultimate. It's just difficult to get it or put it together, right? It can be expensive to mix it all together, and it can be a time intensive process. It can take a while. You got to let it age.
A simple, easy way for people to do it at home. And it's plant specific. Some plants contain more of one nutrient than another.
Mhm.
So if you just take all your cannabis waste in a day and put it in a 5-gallon bucket with water and just let it steep and
Yeah.
ferment and slurry up, once it gets nice and thick and slimy, that stuff is great for your plants. And it turns out that in a pot plant is all the stuff it takes to grow a pot plant.
And best is kind of a vague word, you know. I think there's different best medias for different situations. You don't have to use a soil at all. You can grow
No.
straight in water. You can grow just in the air, you know. So it just depends on your situation and what your goals are, what your budget is, how much time and effort you're willing to put in.
Soil's expensive. I've used lava rocks and clay pellets and rock wool and even hay bales. Hay bales did great. Hey, William. Yes, Rose, they will all love your beneficial bacteria, but you got to be careful with the bacteria and the fungi. They have to be at a good level. If you only have one and not the other, it'll throw your pH off. And I learned that the hard way. With hydroponics, because I was adding my beneficials, but I think I was like out of mycos. I didn't have any mycorrhizae of any kind. So I was just putting in the bacterial blend.
Yeah.
With the azo, yeah, it throws the pH way off.
Come here, Nugs. You're a celebrity, buddy.
Come on, Nugs, you got to get on the show. He got a new little collar today with the blue bling.
Oh, Nugs.
Yeah, he got a little kitty cat collar with some blue bling. I come home, he was naked for 4 days, 5 days in a row. No collar, no leash, just walling out. Little guy just walling out.
So, like most of the time, as opposed to soil, and when I say soil, right, soil is not just media. It's a like living mixture. It's an organic. It's not just dirt. It has all sorts of composted and decomposed old life.
In that room in there, we used Bio 365 in 2 pots, Paonia in 2 pots, and then our own blend of ProMix HP with time release nutrients for all the rest. The Bio 365 soil was a little bit heavier and a little bit wetter, and I don't think it enjoyed being in the autopot system as well.
Yeah.
I think it didn't get oxygenated enough. I think that it wicked up a little bit too much water and didn't have enough spaces in there for air. So the 2 Bio 365 plants, although they never showed any sign of a nutrient deficiency, they had plenty of food, they didn't grow as big or as vigorous. The Paonia plants, on the other hand, the Paonia living soil doesn't have everything it needs in it. You're supposed to top dress and add stuff to it.
Yeah.
So the plants that are in it are a little bit paler, but they're to the roof. I mean, that
Yeah.
tent is what, 8 foot tall?
Yeah.
It's an 8 foot tall
They're
plant.
over the lights last
Yeah,
time.
they're so so we have an 8 foot tall plant in there, and a good 1.5 foot of it is past the light and doing just fine.
Yeah, I like Sohum too. I like Build a Soil.
You can't find Sohum. Build a Soil is a good one.
It's the best, well, maybe not the best, but it's the most convenient, and that's the best for me. But it's one of the more expensive options.
Well, you don't have to buy the whole Build a Soil. You just buy ProMix and Craft Blend, and you're done. Yeah. ProMix is very, very affordable. Comes in the big 3.8 cubic foot bale.
Yep.
And those bales are, I mean, you can get them anywhere from $9 to $15, $16, depending on where you shop. And you can actually fill quite a few pots from a bale. From with 1 gallon pots, I think it's like 125 of them come out of there.
Yep.
So 5 gallon pots, you get 20.
And that might not be the best, right? But it
It's
certainly works. And just depending on the nutrients you use with it, you could get some close to the best results. But I like it because I like to empty out my pots after I run, clean out my whole tent, just throw the root balls away, put them in my backyard, put them into my long-term compost pile, and then just bring in new, fresh cocoa.
Cocoa by itself is really good. You just have to pH buffer it.
Mhm.
You just have to make sure you keep it buffered.
Yeah, Coast of Maine is good as well.
Coast of Maine is a good one. I've used a couple that I really liked. They're just too expensive to use on a larger basis.
I used to use that Roots Organic.
Yeah, that's what I was
707.
trying to think of. The
Yeah.
Roots Organic one.
Yeah, Marina mentioned that. I've used Roots Organic 707 a lot.
Yeah. Fox Farm used to be the top of the line, but they sold out and they cheaped out their ingredients and they turned off their mixer and or maybe they didn't turn it off, but I mean, like if they were mixing it for an hour before, they're mixing it for 1 minute now. It's just not even mixed anymore.
With the Roots Organic and other organic soil mixes and Fox Farm, for example, like let's say Happy Frog or
Lush sounds good.
they're gonna have your veg covered, but they're not gonna have your flower covered. Okay, you're
No,
gonna want
not
to
at
plan. If you're growing a photo period, you're gonna want to plan ahead and put the plant in a smaller pot that you know you're going to transplant up into a bigger pot of more soil, right, for flower. Or if you're running auto flowers, what I used to do, like with Roots Organic 707, was just run it through the veg phase, and then when it's out of nutrients and I see them starting to go pale, I just start adding nutrients. Like synthetic nutrients are for a long time I would use tomato mix. I still have a ton of tomato mix. It works really well. It's super cheap. And share that recipe sometime if anybody's interested.
I have a soil recipe too that I've used for years and years, but it's based on a ProMix base. And then it's got all the how much kelp to add and how much blood meal and bone meal and all that stuff to mix your own. But you need a football team and a large tarp to do the recipe. Or I guess you could somehow like divide it by 100 or something. But it's a commercial sized recipe. So drop day. Today's a drop day. Actually, they came out last night at midnight Eastern. And we got the Windu Yodub. We got the Windos Dose.
Number 2, baby.
Yeah, Dose. It's back cross both sides. It's back cross to the Great Dosey Breath and to the Dark Jedi.
Yep.
So it's Dark Jedi, Great Dosey Breath, cross to Great Dosey Breath. And then that child crossed to Dark Jedi.
Yep.
So it went back to each pair on each side.
And that dose is because it's our second favorite out of that whole group. The whole flower room, that was the second favorite.
It's a nice plant. It's a nice plant. I'm really happy with the way this one came out, but I'm not sure if it's worth growing indoors. The Baby Yoda stank is going to be very, very stinky, like what we're having now. I'm having a dank overload here in the house.
Yeah, more orange portals coming out. More's being made now. I mean, we have some more crosses. Just need to get some testing on them, but
yeah, it's still the freebie and will be for not much longer. I mean, it might make it to Halloween, maybe till Thanksgiving, but the orange portal freebie is about to run out. And then I'm not even sure what's going to be a freebie. I'm going to have to dig through the bank and see what's there. We have an exclusive, a one-time strain that's coming out soon with the 1 year, the anniversary collector box that I'm trying to put together. And I don't know if it'll be a real box or probably a bag that I can get printed. And then it'll have a t-shirt in it and a grinder and a lighter leash, all our little logoed items, a bunch of stickers. But it'll have an exclusive strain, the Child. Yeah. There's only a few of these seeds, so they're only going out to a few people.
I love the Child.
The Child is very, very special. That one's probably going to get its own sticker made, even though it's limited. I don't make stickers and have them printed for these limited packs that there's only a limited number of, because it's just not worth it. To get a sticker printed, I have to print at least 100 of that sticker. And that's considered a small batch order at the printer. They'd really like to see me doing 1,000 or 2,000 of the same sticker, but.
So Javier, we test all of our genetics. That's why some of it doesn't get released immediately, right? We got to test ourselves and grow it out with testers. So yeah, it all gets tested.
I'm headed back to Minnesota next month. I haven't narrowed down what stores I'm going to be at yet. So I'm going to try to do some new stores and maybe get to a couple of new towns. But most likely, for sure, growing more in Fridley. And then, of course, I got a new store in Duluth that's Grow Your Own Duluth that's on the highway. And then there's another Duluth store that I'm sure I'll stop at. And I don't know if I get to Lindstrom this time or not for Lindstrom Hydro Seed and Supply. But I will get back to Minnesota. Yeah, the Orange Portal we never had to test because that was released by Speedrun, right?
Yeah.
And he did an amazing job with it. And yeah, using it as a pollinator has been amazing. And it's great at making its own seed. It's very proliferating.
And our process also involves weeding out any seed mothers that are not good, right? So
the child is a Baby Yoda OG times Grape Dosey Breath times Dark Jedi. So it's a Baby Yoda Grape Dosey Breath Dark Jedi cross.
my 3.
Hey, Waxy. Waxy had a good time in Minnesota. I haven't been to Ohio yet, Canna Queen, but I want to. I'm just looking for a couple of stores to set up. If I can get at least 3 stores to go set up, then the first store generally covers the gas and the food to get there. The second store generally covers the gas and the food to get back. And if there's just one store left over to help me pay for the 3 days I take off of work and don't do orders, that's perfect. I don't have any music playing tonight. I don't have any videos playing tonight. That's because every time I go onto my YouTube thing and people are telling me that I'm restricted or whatever for copyright use.
Yeah. Yep. They'll scan.
Even the stuff I have permission. But I have permission and they're still telling me that they're getting me for copyright use because I have permission to use stuff that's already on YouTube. And YouTube's like, no, somebody else has that. I'm like, and I don't know if there's a way for me to, like, when I'm on somebody else's, like I'm on a bunch of stuff on YouTube, but none of that stuff's on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Can I not download that stuff and play it on my own channel? It's me.
Yeah, you can. But as for the music, that's a complicated situation. I can try and get you some royalty-free music, though.
I have
a little bit of it.
I have some in my Google Drive. I have a whole bunch of it that I paid for. I paid $20 to get all the beats. There's no words or anything. It just plays beats in the background. But they even get me for that. We have it on the intro. That remember the song you said sound like Mario?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same guy. Yeah.
Gonna have to appeal those takedowns.
Those of you that know Eric Carlson, shout out to Freezy Fram, efreezymusicbeats.net is a great
Jason's
place.
asking about powdery mildew.
Man, I'm sorry for your losses. Powdery mildew is an environmental issue that most growers only get in the first few years. And then after that, you will grow out of it as you learn to control temperature, humidity, and keep your airflow correct. Your powdery mildew will go away. But while you've got it, man, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. The milk spray, lactobacillus helps a lot. You can use baking soda and water, just raise the pH.
Let's stop on that, Labs, for a second, because you can just spray straight up
milk.
Straight milk.
Well, you leave if you just leave it out on the counter for like overnight first and then mix it up, I think you get better labs out of it.
That's what I was gonna go towards. Is Labs of the lacto acid bacillus? What does the S stand for? Solution, maybe?
Serum.
Yeah. So you're gonna get there's recipes you can Google online where you get some milk and then usually maybe like some rice or another media, and you kind of let it ferment basically.
You let it grow bacteria.
Google the instructions, but with just milk, especially store milk, they've already pasteurized it and they've already skimmed and cleaned a lot of bacteria out of it. So spraying milk will work, but really
there's very little in it.
You want to take that milk and breed the bacteria inside of it.
Yeah.
I forget the exact process we used to do it. I don't know. I can't.
It separates. I know that.
You ferment it.
Yeah, you
basically.
ferment
You let
it
it go back.
and then you just collect the froth on the
Mhm,
top.
mhm.
You don't take the solid, the curd. You take the whey or whatever.
So lactobacillus, it's going to colonize your leaf so that the powdery mildew doesn't have anywhere to live. It's already at capacity, and it's a benign in other words, beneficial bacteria. So the best way to get rid of lads is to not get it in the first place. I know that's not helpful, but also there's a lot of sprays like that are alcohol and oil mixtures, like Green Cleaner, Lost Coast Plant Therapy. Those work. They can burn your plants a little bit. I think the oil can affect the taste. And
all oils are systemic to plants. So
Mhm.
this plant, it'll be soaked up. It'll come back in your extraction process later. If you use this medicine to extract and make other medicine, your extractions won't solidify because there's an extra oil inside of them. So if you're not extracting and you don't mind ingesting another that oil, if it's good for you, but not if it's something like neem oil, because neem oil is bad. It'll give you
so I will
say poisoning.
My favorite spray like that is called Blue Magic.
Blue Magic.
It's basically Lost Coast, but it also has a terpene in it called farnesene, which is a sour apple.
Ryan Early came up with the Blue Magic, and he formulated it especially for cannabis plants with the terpenes that would be bug repellent. Mm-hmm. So it helps. It's not one of those fix your plant once it's already been all chewed up. But if you use it religiously from the beginning, the bugs will just avoid that plant period anyway. They won't want anything to do with it.
But you can also use instead of those oil alcohol sprays, which I've used those, and really, I honestly don't really notice any flavor change or quality change. I think it's diluted enough that it works. You can also use stuff like Dr. Zymes, an enzyme cleaner. That's my favorite. And you can use stuff
Hydrozyme
or hydrogen peroxide. I mean, do a very dilute hydrogen peroxide. That will also work to dissolve and oxidize the powdery mildew. But you're sterilizing something and then leaving it open.
So
one spore is just going to land on there and then just take back over.
Well, powdery mildew comes from within. Once it's in there, it's like AIDS. It's systemic. It comes from inside the plant. And the plant actually probably had powdery mildew for months before weeks before you actually saw it come out on the leaf, because it takes a long time before it breaks out, and it only breaks out when conditions are right, when the plant's at a weak point toward the end of its life, or when you're in just perfect conditions. If it's just super humid and not enough airflow, it'll go off. It'll go off. And in colder temperatures, if you've got a big swing in your temperatures, it can cause molds to grow. We actually have what looks like mold on the top of all of our pots, but it's mycorrhizae fungus, and it's colonized the top of every pot. And I like that, because that means stuff doesn't want to land there and do its thing, because it's already filled up. It's a filled up space. They were raving about the orange portal. The whole plant looks like it's covered in white velvet, she says. The tent.
Yeah.
She smells orange every time she walks in the room.
It's great work by Speedrun. It's definitely going to be one of our orange lines. We're working on getting multiple orange lines together. But that orange portal, it's just so large, so frosty, and it has that nice rarer Valencine terp. I'm really excited about the work we've done to cross it over to some photo periods. So we'll bring some original genetics back here in a generation or two.
Yes, definitely. I'm trying to figure out what Sherry said that Ash was replying to. Oh, thank you, Chaz. Yes, Fam Fridays are amazing. If I hadn't been flying yesterday, I would have definitely been there. I would have definitely been there last night, but we flew back from Vegas yesterday. Do I wash flowers when you harvest an outside grow? I wash flowers all the time, so I don't have to wash them when I harvest. I like to hit them plants with a good garden hose every single day, maybe twice a day if it's getting buggy out, and just keep it as uncomfortable as possible for anything that might want to take up a residency. I think Sherry texted me earlier today and said she's got aphids. And the best answer for aphids is a strong blast of water. And if you like, I challenge you to pick up and hand me a live aphid. They are extremely delicate bodied, and they just
crush.
You cannot, you might be able to use a tool or a leaf or something to get one to crawl onto, or if you pick a piece of plant, but you can't just with your hands grab me an aphid and give it to me and it's still alive. It dies on touch.
I have washed outdoor bud in the past, especially for issues like aphids. Sometimes like whiteflies, although whiteflies usually will just fly away when you harvest it. But aphids, if you have,
we washed bud in Colorado because it was full of sand.
Yes,
the wind blows.
Yeah,
and it gets full of dirt. Your buds are just dirty.
Sand.
And then you wash them in the bucket, and you're like, "Oh, that looks like trichomes." It is not trichomes.
Yeah, and you're gonna want to do a multi-step dunk. We would set up just regular water and then lemon water and then hydrogen peroxide water and then normal water. And we dunk them through each one. And man, by the end of 20 to 30 plants, the buckets were just like nasty with sand.
Yeah. And just all kinds of little floaty things that you don't know what they are.
Sometimes for outdoor, I do. Yeah, but look at it, harvest a nug or two early, dry it out so you can break it up and see what's on the inside, so you get a little preview of what's the
use your loupe to see if you can see any like webbing or poops or creatures.
In that case, if you're outside and you got webbing and poop and dirt, wash it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Milkweed and catnip, good for aphids. Good. If they have a choice, they'll take their favorite. And cannabis is a favorite to almost every insect who comes across it because they just fall in love with it as much as we do. I don't know why, but bugs that don't even eat plants are hanging out on your cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. I've had tons of bees show up.
Highlight this comment from there.
There's a video. They're awesome. There's a video in the features on the Grow Fam section. If you don't know, go to thegrowfam.com. There's 104 people in here already. And I haven't even tried to tell you who we're sponsored by. Grow Fam TV is sponsored by thegrowfam.com. You can head over there and get cannabis seeds, heirloom veggie seeds, all kinds of swag, t-shirts, products from people in the group. There's a show every single day for Grow Fam. Let me go ahead and show that to y'all real quick. So if you're a new viewer, you'll know who all the shows are and when they're coming on.
Just restarted at like 20.
I had to run, let the dogs potty, and I haven't even combed my hair. I had a little nap today, but yeah, I took 5 days off, flew to Vegas, stayed in a nice hotel, had a good time, went to see all the sights, went to the Neon Museum, which was really cool. Went to the Bellagio. They've got this like glass flower thing and this botanical theme going on that they're installing. It's gorgeous. And of course, saw the fountain show at the Bellagio. And we went to MGM Grand, and we went to Planet Hollywood, and we went to the Horseshoe, and we went to Fremont Street and visited several casinos down there one night. We took the monorail.
I can't remember where it is, what casino it's in, but there's like Little Venice. And then did you go in that other place
That's
with
got
like the fake sky?
So there's Paris
Oh,
that has
maybe.
the Eiffel Tower, that Paris casino. I didn't go in there, but I got pictures of the I did get pictures of the tower there. And we did go into New York, but it was $18 for parking. So don't go in there if you go to Vegas. There's other places with free parking. Let me see what these comments are looking on. Fuchs spray is fine. But so that's one of the oils, though, that will come through in your final flavor of your flower. Foop adds peppermint oil to every single one of its products. And peppermint oil with, consistent, always use, you will impart some of that flavor into your flower.
If you want to avoid that, I mean, what I like to do is use those oils in veg and then switch to like a Dr. Zymes or does Dr. Zymes have an oil? I need to check the ingredients list. I think it's just
no Dr. Zymes
sorbate or something.
The Dr. Zymes is the enzymes and the acetate.
Yeah.
Citric acetate, I think.
So you can use it in veg. I've used like Lost Coast Plant Therapy, Green Cleaner, other oil and alcohol based Blue Magic. I've used them in flower, and I don't see a big difference, but you definitely do when you extract it. It makes the extractions be more oily, like instead of being thicker or waxier.
Like when we were trying to make shatter, it would never shatter because the oil was
there.
there.
It'll be runny. It'll be oily.
Screw trying to make some concentrates.
It's definitely there. I never tasted a difference. I never saw it like dissolve trichomes.
It also comes out. It comes through in your RSO, your FICO.
Mm-hmm.
It'll come out in your FICO, and your FICO won't ever like stiffen up. It just stays runny, and you're like, I got to purge it more, and you keep purging, and and as you purge it more, it actually starts to get even runnier because you're heating that oil. It becomes more viscous and it's a never-ending nightmare for extraction. But for home use and for as long as you don't overdo anything, it won't be that bad. But anything, even a good thing, if you overdo it, will be bad.
So when you're in late flower, the name of the game is keeping your humidity down, right? So spraying anything can upset that. It's
we did an extra defoliation for late flower because I had too much leaf mass. We added extra fan, added another dehumidifier, opened up the walls even more to get more airflow. Just step up your game. More air, more dehumidification. So the other thing we did to keep the humidity more in check was we stopped turning the lights off at all. There's no more dark at all, because when you turn the lights off, they sweat. They'll sweat naturally with the lights on anyway. But when you turn the lights off, it'll spike that humidity really bad. As soon as your temperature drops 5 degrees, your humidity just starts.
Yep.
Yeah.
But okay. Well, what week are we at? 5, 6,
I don't know. Let's look on the book.
Late flower, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And not to talk about sprays and IPM too much, but let's say you're in week 6, week 5 or 6, and you have some IPM come up on your fan leaves. So what are you gonna do, right? One answer is solve it with fire, throw the plant out. Okay, not a lot of people are going to want to do that. and a lot of people want to try and rescue. So of course you're going to want to remove affected leaves is the first best way. Pull off everything that's affected. At that point, you can spray. It can impact your grow negatively by raising humidity and creating more areas where bud rot and IPM can grow and bugs can live on. But like, let's say you're just using hydrogen peroxide. That's just going to oxidize stuff on the leaves, just break molds down. It's not going to hurt your plant. It's not going to dissolve your trichomes. It's not going to, if you're not blasting it with high pressure, it's not going to be breaking your trichome heads off. You can, and we do pretty regularly spray at least Dr. Zymes
Right.
through late flower in the fall and the spring when it's real humid. In the summer, there's not much issue. It's nice and dry. You don't really have issues.
Powdery mildew is also easy to fight at home on like that off-grid budget. Anything that you can do to raise the pH of the leaf surface will prevent the powdery mildew from even being able to grow. So it can only grow in a certain pH range. So if you use baking soda and water and spray it on there fairly heavily and leave it with a little white coating, the powdery mildew will not be able to come back until it wears off.
We got a desktop water, I forget what it's called. It's a water generator, but it makes high pH or low pH water. We spray that in flower and have no problem. Just alternate
you can use
between
pH up.
high pH and low pH. And then, you know, I forget which one it is. The high pH kills your microbes and the low pH kills like bigger bugs.
Yeah, the low pH will kill like insects. But it can also affect the plant if you go too low. You'll get brown spots.
Well, we do the low, then we do the high, and they could cancel each other out and then make normal water. Then we spray normal water with some hydrogen peroxide. It works.
Just spraying anything, it just honestly, I bet you could probably do it with a stupid air hose. If you just went in and blasted them with air every day, those aphids would be gone. They would not
that would
stay.
be a good thing to check out.
They wouldn't stay.
Because in every study they've done, doing just water over any IPM is like 80% as effective as any IPM, just water. But I would be interested to see air. Because, I mean, if you physically remove the bug from the plant, that would be the best, just an air bath.
Just an air bath twice a day, and then the bugs learn that's not the place to be.
I wonder if that would work, though. That's future cannabis science.
Future cannabis science. What do we got going on up here? They love Dr. Zymes. Athena IPM is good. Yeah, if you just start from seed, keep a clean grow, keep everything sterilized, picked up, don't have a lot of decaying matter around, make sure that your soil is not too wet all the time. You can avoid most of the pathogens, the bugs, the pests, the molds, the problems, just by controlling your environment, keeping everything clean, and starting from seed.
Yeah.
Because almost 99% of the things that are wrong with your plant came from another plant. So running around a seed, chopping it all down, cleaning everything up, and then starting over again is the best way. It's called a reset. In most grows are perpetual. They're always planting something. They're always picking something. Commercially, you have to always have you can't wait and only get paid 3 times a year. It doesn't work for the employees. So
and don't forget that, you chop your plant, but there's roots in your bed sometimes. And those rotting roots can lead to...
They'll bring fungus gnats will come to eat those roots.
And it can cause your plant to dry off a lot quicker. So Jasper's asking about a 24-hour light cycle for autos. That's usually recommended. But I'll say right now, in some spaces, because it's so hot...
In the summer, you want to give them that break in the middle of the day when it's really, really hot. And give your electric bill that break.
Yeah, that's just because I don't want to be constantly cooling the space. I want to save a little money, and they don't need 24 hours necessarily.
But toward the end, and the humidity's peaking, and you don't want them to rot, and you're trying to avoid some of these problems. And
it might be worth actually to pay for that. But because it's so hot right now, in some spaces, I'm just running 18.6.
Yeah. That room in there was 18.6. There's 61 days today, by the way.
But most of the time I run 24-hour light cycle for convenience. but I've seen no difference at either 20 hours a day or 16 hours a day or 18.
Or no, they're
Um,
59 days. They're 2 days short. 58 days. They're 2 days short of being 60 days old in there.
Nice. So just a month to go, really.
For
Less
seed,
than
yeah.
that, yeah.
Less than a month for bud. There's 2 strains in there that are ready now that are like 60-day strains. They could be just done.
Nice, yeah.
There's 2 in there like that I'm looking at like might want to pick you.
Yeah, Soapy Waterworks. The soap is going to be a
Like a Dawn
emulsifier
dish soap or a Dr.
surfactant.
Bonner's. I like
That
Dr.
just
Bonner's.
helps the droplets not be so big, because then those big droplets are little lenses for light to concentrate and fry your plant. So it helps break it up into a bunch of small, very small droplets and spread it out over the surface.
The soap is considered a surfactant, but you can also use like aloe is a really, really good surfactant. Helps water spread out and stick. And it just multiplies osmosis.
Mm-hmm.
Where molecules of water want to stick to each other.
It
if you put them on
the adhesion.
if you put them on a slippery surface, then they can just fly to each other.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to work as hard to get to each other.
But I wouldn't spray really unless you have an issue, or really, I mean, you should have a plan beforehand, right? Because you need to be able to make sure to dehumidify your space, make sure to break up any like pools if you have leaves or buds that can make a little cup for water to sit in. You want to make sure you have good airflow. So it is probably better to default to just not spraying if you don't have an issue. But if you already have an issue, that's where you get into.
If you are in a really low humidity environment, I don't mind you giving your girls a bath like every morning early, like before the lights come on or before the sun is up over the horizon. If you're in a greenhouse or outdoor, spraying your plants off with water every single day will prevent a whole lot of shit.
Mm-hmm. And that's not
keep
just
them
for
clean.
PM.
And keep them clean.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that good for PM unless you're on a high pH well water. We were on a well water out there in the desert with an 8 pH. So it was great. That was great for powdery mildew. It kept the pH was so high that the powdery mildew just doesn't survive in that high pH. It can't replicate. pH up in water is fine. Powdery mildew is airborne, but once it lands on the plant, the spore goes inside and it lives inside the plant. Like AIDS, you can never get rid of it. Every clone you cut from that plant will have powdery mildew. Every clone you cut from that clone will have powdery mildew. It will be passed down generation after generation. If you got a clone in the first place, that's probably where your powdery mildew came from. It's definitely where you got your russet or broad mites, and your spider mites are like 99.9% sure that they came on some other pot plant.
Yeah.
Pot plants are dirty, filthy little girls. And the ones that you get from Walmart parking lots out of trunks of cars can set you back for years. And I'm saying that from personal experience. I didn't know anything back then. I didn't have a microscope. There wasn't a lot of internet. There wasn't a lot of,
You don't tell until flower.
I thought I had a CalMag deficiency because I couldn't see the bug. And then, once I realized that CalMag was not going to help,
you'll see it eventually. You don't need a lens.
No, I
at
wasn't.
the very end of their breeding cycle.
I was in a low humidity environment, so I was spraying them with water every day. Like I had them, and you couldn't tell that I had them until I stopped spraying the water. And that was when they got in bud because I didn't want bud rot. I'm like, all right, we're gonna, sorry, you guys just have to ride dry through the bud cycle. I'll hang some wet towels over here for you, but that's the best I can do for humidity in the bud cycle.
Yeah.
I wasn't wetting down the floors and the walls the same way. If you've got a greenhouse space outside and you just go wet the floor, it'll lower the temperature 10, 15, 20 degrees immediately. So having a high humidity is not always a bad thing. Just making sure that it's the right kind of humidity at the right time of day, you won't end up with so many big problems. But big baseball bat buds, they just take so long to dry. Nature eats them from the inside out. And there's nothing we could, I guess cryo is the way to go to keep them from them big giant buds, you have to do the cryo cure. That would keep anything from growing. But using an old school, slow and low cure and dry process, if there's anything at all on it that's nasty, it's probably going to multiply during the dry.
It's not really convenient, but chopping up your buds can help us if you have big fat ones
Or
before
at least knocking your
Um,
branches into single branches and not hanging big, dense whole plants.
Yeah, for sure. But sometimes, those soda bottle, those 2-liter nugs
Pineapple.
are just, it's most convenient to hang up that one big cola, but if it's thicker than your arm,
You need to break it open and hang it on a dry rack.
Maybe thicker than your bicep or thicker than your
The baseball bats, if it's bigger than that water cup, you need to break it up.
break it
It
up.
will get a gray, fuzzy looking stuff near the stem.
Mhm.
And it won't be in the bud just yet, but you'll be like, you were this close. And when you're this close, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Invisible to the naked eye means infested with whatever it is, a mold, a bug, a fungus, any of those things that you can see.
Strawberry grimy. How long does it go?
So it is a Hubba Bubba Haze crossed with strawberry nuggets. And those do go a little bit longer, probably 80, 85 days. I would be checking. And by 90, 95 days, I would be pulling because you'll end up with rotalization
Mhm.
if you pull way too late. But if it's a big plant, it can probably go up to a week to 10 days longer just because it vegged longer. If it's growing vigorously and it hasn't gone into flower at week 3,
Yeah.
you're not seeing pre-flowers and it's not trying to flower by week 3, then it's going for the lights like some of those did.
Mhm.
Then it will go longer, up to
Right.
2-3 weeks.
I mean, the deal with autos, in my experience, is the better you grow them, the better you treat them, the less you stress them,
The longer they go.
the longer they'll veg.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Now, once they get into flower, let's say you can veg them 2 or 3 months if you're really good. Usually they'll flower right around day 30 to 45 for most people.
Yeah.
After they start flowering, it's going to be a pretty much typical flower time for what you know from cannabis, which is usually 8 weeks. Sometimes autos are a little quicker, but you're still probably going to have at least a 6, and usually a 6 to 7
sativa
week
leaning
flower.
can go 10.
So for however long it takes to veg, plus 7 or 8 weeks. The strawberries just go a little bit longer, like 8 to 9 weeks flower. That's pretty common for strawberries.
Yeah.
And the hazes as well go longer. So from the time it flowers, you're looking at probably at least a full 8 week, whereas a lot of other ones might finish up by week 7.
I was surprised that the THCV, the double Durban auto in there seems to be finishing up early and not being a giant plant.
Yeah.
But so there's 2 in there, right? There's the one that's crossed with Slapple already. The one that's crossed with Slapple already is a beast.
Yeah. That one looks more Durban because Durban's known for being gigantic, huge.
It does look more Durban.
Big sativa,
but
long flower, 8, 9, 10 weeks. Sometimes.
But the little short one with the dark flowers, the dark little short one just smells straight Durban. Like the
turf is on point.
The turf is completely there. Like you can always pick out a Durban in any jar. Oh yeah, I'm looking. She said it's like having AIDS. It is AIDS. You can't get rid of AIDS. You can't get rid of powdery mildew. Once you've got it, you've got it.
You can get some.
And Jason said, he
but,
said, yeah, it was a clone. It came from. Don't bring in clones. No, it won't get rid of it. It'll mask the symptoms.
It'll help.
And you can live. Hey, it is Topher. How you doing, Topher? I'm glad you jumped in here. Topher recently, just today, sent me a little thing. He's been doing he didn't have any hypodermic needles.
Yeah.
But he had some silver.
Yeah.
So he used a silver rod and shoved in there.
I'm trying that method, Topher.
We are definitely going to order up
the information. I'm going to try that because that sounds very convenient to me. So instead of spraying your plant with silver to reverse it, inserting a silver rod. And I've heard about people using silver nitrate and just spraying silver nitrate like you'd spray colloidal silver or silver thiosulfate. So I believe it. I mean, I believe the pictures. Send a picture of the plant with the rod in it, though, please. That would be cool. If you have a picture,
yes.
I want to know. Did
We
you
need
stick
a
it
video.
through? Did
We
you
need
drill
a
the hole
video.
through
Is
the stem? You know,
horizontal? Is it an
Did you stick it
angle?
down
Did it
into
go
the vein?
vertical?
Let us know, Topher.
Yes.
We need more information.
And I think he lives in like Edmond or something.
Really?
So I might be able to figure out. We might have to go.
You're on the forefront of cannabis science, brother. You get that knowledge out there.
No, never. One spray never takes care of anything. Definitely can't take care of everything. What you can do to, if you want kind of a one-stop shop for bug and mold prevention, it's not that much more costly. It's probably definitely worth the money that it costs. Is get yourself a good silica supplement. Silica Blast, silica, any good silica that's in a liquid form, and start feeding that to your plant at week 2 or 3. In fact, I like to keep a bottle of silica around in the grows where I have to do the pH. I don't use pH up. I use silica for pH up, and I use phosphorus for pH down. So I don't even mess with the pH up and down. I use nutrients to make the pH go up and down.
Yeah, I used to always use Axil 16H and have silica in every feeding.
Yeah, silica will make the plant wall thicker, the cell wall of the plant thicker, and bugs just don't find it nearly as appealing. What is going on? Somebody's biting my feet. Somebody's biting my feet.
But I do like, take your pick between
look over
Blue
there and tell them
Magic,
why you're biting my feet.
Lost Coast Plant Therapy, or Dr. Zymes.
You tell the people why you're biting me on the feet.
And we've mixed our own Lost Coast Plant Therapy and our own, not fully Blue Magic, but very similar. And it's hard to buy all the ingredients and actually make it as cheap as Lost Coast Plant Therapy. Like they actually do a good job where you can't go buy the ingredients and mix it yourself for cheaper.
Well, there are some things that are just growing outside in your yard. Like if you have marigolds, chrysanthemums, you can just make those into a tea yourself and spray it on your plant. And the ones that you'll know when you go outside, because it'll be the plant that has no bug bites and no bug issues at all.
Which ethrin is it?
It's pyrethrin.
Pyrethrin.
Yeah.
That's from chrysanthemums.
But it's PYRE.
Yeah.
There's another one called
permethrin.
Permethrin.
And other ones like
permethrin.
that.
The one that's PERM, and it's permanent. It never comes off the plant. The PYRE, the pyrethrum, it burns off. Pyre like a fire. And the one that's spelled perm, don't use that. It's permanent.
And pyrethrums and neem are examples of natural IPMs. Neem oil is a natural IPM.
It's natural, but it's natural like arsenic. It's also poisonous to
some
humans.
People are very allergic to neem.
It's poisonous to humans. It builds up in your system like lead, and once you've got enough, it's over. You end up with hypermeiosis syndrome, which is where every time you are exposed, you get sick again. You get diarrhea and nausea and vomiting and get very, very, very ill.
Man, I had some smart people drilling into me about cannabis hyperesis syndrome not necessarily being linked to pesticides and herbicides, because that's my first thought.
I'm sure there's other ways to get it, but the people that I know that had it, they got it because that farm sprayed neem oil twice a week.
Or worse than neem oil. A lot of farms cut corners on the commercial market, whether it's recreational or medical.
Yeah, the first one was that they sent me neem oil for hair and body, and I had no idea how much to use. It was a pure oil, and it was like off Amazon or something, but it said for hair and body. It wasn't for plants. It had no directions. I fried everything. Heavily fried everything. We haven't done any kind of a giveaway tonight, and I know I have a giveaway. And Yeah, there's a lot of bugs out there. Hey, Buckeye. It is okay to wash your buds instead of using an IPM, but IPM is integrated pest management. And what it means is it's a program that you work from the very beginning, even from the seed stage, because at a seed, you don't want your seed to become infected with some root rot
or fungus. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't, or some horrible root eating nematodes or whatever.
Yeah.
You from the very, very seed, you want to start protecting it and inoculating it with beneficial organisms and giving it its booster shots on a regular basis to keep it from getting sick with one of the bad microbes.
And part of your IPM, people always think of IPM as sprays.
It's not always a spray. Some of it's just watching.
Insect netting is part of your IPM, right?
Bottom watering is part of an IPM. Spreading out diatomaceous earth around your space is part of an IPM. Neem oil I will buy and use, and I have some in the garage. I don't put it on plants, but I'll put it on everything else.
For a tent grower, keeping your tent closed and having the exhaust or intake through a filter or an insect netting, that's part of your IPM.
Inspecting for bugs on a regular basis is part of your IPM. Putting up a sticky trap is considered IPM. It's a whole entourage of different things that you use to keep an eye out and to keep a monitor on the situation. Because when you see a situation, it's an infestation. When you see one bug, that's because there are so many they can't hide from you anymore.
And more to the question, would it be okay to wash buds instead of using an IPM?
Yeah.
In that question, I assume you have no issues.
Yeah.
So if you don't have issues, why wash the bud? You don't. It's something you only need to do if you have dust or bugs or some issue.
Outdoor bud, it's not a bad idea to just dunk it in a couple of different tanks. So just plain water. You don't have to go through a big issue. A couple of trash cans of plain water and just change them out. Or even just spray them down good with the garden hose after you've chopped them and leave them hanging upside down to drip dry for a minute before you take them to the dry space. But just knocking the dirt and dust off of them doesn't hurt. It won't knock the trichomes off. If you use super cold water, though, you'll lose trichomes. And if you use warm water, you'll lose terps.
Yeah.
So there's that.
And let's say you're in late flower and you have some powdery mildew or some bud rot or some bugs. At that point, if you're asking, is it better to do nothing and wash it later? No, because you got to cut stuff off early.
Yeah.
If you see a problem, you got to pull that leaf, and you can cut sections off the plant or sections out of nugs and cut that stuff out before it grows, because if you leave it, it's just going to grow.
And sometimes we have to we have to bite the bullet and harvest early to make it work. Sometimes, you notice that you have a bug that you're not going to be able to fight. And you're like, all right, we're going to spray these off as good as we can and harvest now, because you don't want to just keep going.
Yeah. So you want to take care of things as soon as you see them. Of course, the point of IPM is to try and get ahead of stuff. So you have good practices before, a week before there's an issue that's going to make it not happen. You're hopefully avoiding
washing your hands, changing your shoes,
cleaning your tools,
keeping your tools clean, keeping your space clean, keeping leaves and stuff picked up. Even if you are an all organic grower, and I like organic stuff. So when I have a leaf that's fallen, if it's not a whole bucket full that I can make a tea out of, I just bury it real quick in the corner of the pot. If it's just one or two and it came from this plant, she worked on that, I'll just bury it back right there.
Yeah.
And cover it over. It's kind of like a cat. If you bury your shit, you're okay. But don't leave it out up on the top. Flies will be attracted, bugs will be attracted, all kinds of things will come in to take care of the decomposition.
I will say, if you're in a bottom feeding situation, I would keep your rotting and your decomposing stuff just separate from your roots. Because if it stays wet constantly, it's going to be real quick to spread, and it can cause root rot. So, but like if you're outdoors, I think outdoors is a little bit different.
That works. That works better in a raised bed or the hay bale situation. It was real easy to tuck the decaying matter
Yeah.
down into the hay bale and give
Yeah.
it more. It was carbon. Here's more carbon for you, hay bale type situation. Having lots of carbon in the soil can help too. That biochar stuff is amazing to keep roots healthy and to keep plants healthier.
Garlilox is another one of those slightly longer ones that are going to flower for like 8 to 9 weeks. So after it starts flowering, which if you stress it or are like a typical grower, or you can flip an auto, it'll start flowering after like 30 days. But if you really baby them and really give them a good life, they can go 60 days easy without flowering. They're just going to start flowering as soon as they get unhappy.
Yeah.
And usually that's around like 30, 40 days.
I don't know if
seed.
I saw Robbie Shore in here, but if Robbie's in here, he's got the record 585 grams on one Garlilox in a hydro bucket. And I think he went 89 days.
Wow, that's a lot for 89. That's really quick.
It was nice. Yeah.
That's nice.
That's why he holds the record. But we've
Wow.
got a couple that are going for his record, and they might actually get it. Yeah, we're the guys that do the injection on STS. But Topher's in here.
You know, my last round, I didn't even do it just to try, and it was just fine. You can do it either way. Yeah. Well, I did spray like 3 or 4 times with STS, but I didn't inject. It was just fine.
Sweet.
Usually I inject and spray.
The inject for me is like because normally my reversal, my pollen donor is in the room with everybody else already set up in a system, and they're not.
Or if you're in a bed and you can't move stuff around.
Whether they're if they're in a greenhouse, they're in a bed, they're on a table, in a drip setup, in a system where they're already scrogged. I can't pull them in and out. Especially if I'm scrogging on those rolling tables, I'll just put the pollinator in, like one at the middle of this table, one at the middle of that table, one at the middle of the back table. I'll try to dice them in there like a 5, so that I have ones on all tables to try to pollinate a whole room.
Well, as to what all you can inject, preferably nothing. You don't need to. This is just for if you're reversing female plants to make seeds.
Well, so I don't know. So Brad,
there's research out there.
Let's just go ahead and get a little
plants.
scientific with it, Brad. My dad injected alcohol straight up, like grain alcohol, into watermelons. It didn't kill them. So I'm assuming that you can inject all sorts of things, and I would love to see maybe like a straight CalMag drip into one day. You know, the little.
I think the nutrients we usually feed would need to be way more dilute.
You'd have to,
and I don't think it would probably be the same nutrients we would inject. I think literally.
Well, what about
whatever? It's
what about a
bacteria,
like a phytobacteria or a bacillus?
I wouldn't do a phytobacteria, but maybe I honestly don't think there's much
a beneficial fungus.
I could see you feeding a plant that way, but I think it's going to be inconvenient, and I think you're not feeding the same nutrients you feed to the root, right? Because you're basically
there's still a lot of growers that swear about that rusty nail in the stalk.
Oh, geez.
Hey, but you're about to put a silver rod.
But you're wanting to give the plant basically the equivalent of plasma or blood. Right, not food. You're not injecting food, because if you inject food into the stomach,
right?
Would be injecting food into
They're not going to need saline.
So
how about
the stem of a plant?
Oxygenated water if you just dripped it in there all the time.
Isn't that for the roots? Right. That's for the roots, right?
The roots take it up, but it goes through the plant.
Produce plant blood. Sap. Right. Well, I need to learn the term for this, but It's going to be basically a sugar water, I think, with
But,
carbs
okay,
in
so
it. A sugar water with carbs.
Where I'm
right?
getting to is when you know what happens when you don't water your plant and it loses. It's called turgor in the plant world. It's the water pressure inside the plant. It's just a water pump that pumps water up from the bottom and sends it out through the leaves, which causes all our high humidity
The
issues.
turgor, or it loses its turgidity.
Turgidity, yeah.
You can think of like rigidity. It's pumped full of water and it gets all stiff. And that's what happens when
it's not really stiff, but it's full and it's flattened out. But when it loses it, when a plant actually wilts, it's just
this is a thirsty leaf that doesn't have water in it, right? And then as it gets water, it's going to stand up and then start to pray, and it's filling with pressure to stand up. And then as it loses that water pressure, it's like and it limps back down.
It faints.
But turgidity is what holds
that ability to pray, right?
Lift up and pray towards the light.
So if you come home and the plant's like completely wilted, could you like go from the top and give her an injection?
We need to research these things.
They generally come back within an hour or two by just watering the roots. For those of you who are watching at home, do not immediately start injecting your wilted plants.
I wouldn't.
But
I think it's something to look into. But we do it for reversing plants because you get a great reversal on the whole plant. It's really nice.
Yeah. And it's really kind of a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
You really only have to do it once or twice and walk away. And it's as long as your ingredients are good, you're guaranteed pretty much every time to get plenty of pollen.
Got to get those ingredients right.
And don't keep them around forever because they have a really short shelf life. We should look at these comments, though. I'm sure there's lots of questions. Can we use neem oil on cannabis? I'd rather use neem oil on the floor, the ceiling, the walls, the wood, the plants that are outside, anything else that's on your property somewhere else than on your actual cannabis plants. But I have it to wash other things. I'll wash the pots down with it. The little tiny bit that might get absorbed from being left as a residue on a pot, I'm not going to worry about. But spraying down a whole plant is just going to soak that shit up.
You can, okay, but don't do it in flour, all right? Please.
Yeah, it's going to taste like shit. It tastes like burnt popcorn.
It's like sulfur. I would actually recommend sulfur over neem, every time.
And sulfur you can just sulfur basically will wash away.
But you can't do sulfur in flour either. Or your flour will smell like eggs.
And taste like matches.
Yeah.
And go snap, crackle, pop like Rice Krispies cereal when you smoke it. What kind of phosphorus to lower pH? So, you want the cheap and easy way? Go to AutoZone and get a whole gallon of battery acid and some very thick gloves and goggles. Now, you'll want to put like a quarter of a teaspoon per gallon of water to make pH down, as you know it today. But pH down is phosphoric acid. It's the same thing in the battery of your car.
I would usually add silica when I water all the time, but it's going to affect your pH. You got to be aware of how to mix it. And these days, I haven't been doing silica, and it's been just fine. But I do see a lot. The plants get a lot more rigid, and you'll see big families. You can pop them off in the back. When you pop them off, it'll pop, Silica really helps them be stiffer, helps thicken up the stems, but it's optional. I recommend it though.
Christopher said he sent me some stuff. So they're in there on the plant cam. I will go grab the plant cam and take a look at those pictures.
Let's go back up to this.
Yeah, if you're going over to the website, it's nancysown.com. It's scrolling down there at the bottom how to spell it.
Yeah, I'm going to try that silver rod for reversals. That's interesting.
You know what, Rich? I haven't done the bundle yet. I will do it as soon as the live is over. I'll make the bundle for these three. Do you want to talk about these three?
Well, the Windows Dose is my second favorite overall out of that whole group. And it's back crosses on both sides. So it ends up being a pretty even mix of both. But I tend to find that there's a little bit more stability than when you just cross two random things together. You know?
Right.
'Cause
If you keep back crossing.
the first step was, well, not two random things, but two unrelated things. And then back to one side. So it's 75% the one parent. And then crossed it back to the other.
To try to get the 50-50 mix
more
that's
Baby
more
Yoda.
stable. Yeah.
I love this Windows dose.
And
One of my favorite ones for sure.
My favorite's gonna be the Windu Yoda because it has the double grape in
Yeah.
it. I can't help but be partial to double grape because double grape is partial to me.
Yeah. And that's a good Baby Yoda. And when I say the Baby Yoda, I mean that more chemi, sometimes even poopy, like just chemi smell. I really love the Baby Yoda side of that whole grape family because grape is nice and sweet's
It's gonna
always
be
nice.
super dank.
But I want that Baby Yoda in there, you know.
I want some dirty diapers in it.
And the Baby Yoda stank is the back cross with our most Baby Yoda on both sides. So that's my favorite. The stank with a D. We hope that doesn't. Oh, we can't see on the camera, but I hope that doesn't turn people off or make it hard to Google. I mean, but that's how I describe it. It stanks.
Buckeye said he came in late. Yes, powdery mildew is systemic. Fight. Spray. Once you get down through this, he said sulfur spray was good for a while, but it keeps coming back. Yeah. Keep the humidity down. Keep the fans up high. I know your first instinct when you see powdery mildew is to turn the fan off so you'll stop spreading it, but it just makes it worse that way. So remove every bit of it that you can see. Remove.
Schwabs the plant.
Yep. Take all them big leaves that are good for it to grow on because it likes that big flat surface. It doesn't like to grow vertical. It'll grow on the stem.
See the strong garlic taste real quick. That's the Garly Locks for sure. For strong garlic taste, Garly Locks.
Lots of Garly Locks. The Garly Locks is in which one? The Garly Locks is in one of these.
Is it?
Yes.
Maybe other spray? The Windows.
I got it.
It'd be Windowsy Mo or Mo or Delta G.
It's in the stank. That's why it's stanky.
Oh, yeah, I forgot it's in the stank.
It's in the Baby Yoda stank. Has Garly Locks
Baby Yoda
in it.
Dozy Mo back to the double Dark Jedi. The double Dark Jedi.
Yep. And Garly Locks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forgot.
The rusty nail. I got to get it. Kim said she saw the Kyle Cushman chiropractic video.
Snap them.
Hey, thank you, Soap Lady. Once Upon a Spell is the awesome Soap Lady. Ash is exactly right. Add the silica to your water first before you add any other nutrients, and that is because it is going to affect your pH, and it will if you add it when you already have other nutrients in there, it will bind to them and then precipitate out is what they call it. It's no longer available for the plant to use. If you use RO water, definitely put some minerals back in that stuff. Yeah, if you're using RO water, definitely put minerals back in it before you feed it to your plant. Use the CalMag religiously if you're on that RO water.
So RO, like first I'm putting in my silica, and then it depends on if you're feeding nutrients or if it's just mostly water that you're feeding into soil that has the nutrients in it already. So you're going to branch off at that point. But if you're adding any nutrients, you're going to add the nutrients after your silica. And then usually if there's some CalMag additive, I do it after, although you should probably do CalMag before. And then your pH is last. So you pH up or down to get it wherever you want after all of your nutrients and everything else are in.
Yes.
So silica first, nutrients in the middle, and then your pH adjustment very last.
Yeah, you want to do the acid last.
Yeah. Peace tree, the GMO is in Garly Locks. It's a
Yeah.
very GMO. It has that chem dog, but there's a lot of neurolidol, not more that chem with like caryophyllene and terpinolene even. It's very strongly in neurolidol.
I get asked a lot, which one do you think is the most garlicky of the Goldilocks crosses?
Well, I think Goldilocks itself is probably
It's
the most
probably-
garlic.
Yeah.
Of the
But I
crosses,
would
it's gonna
think
be-
the Goldilocks gas or
I gotta look at what back crosses are in the group. Or are there Goldilocks back crosses in the group yet? Because
yeah. The most garlicky of the garlics.
I would go with Goldilocks.
I would go the
But-
original Goldilocks.
But what
And
Goldilocks,
it's a beast.
what Goldilocks brings to all of its crosses is strong chem. So you cross a Goldilocks to a chem, and it's going to accentuate and like increase that chem and that stinky, nasty, like umami, nice, smell. It's great to cross with stuff. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, that you can use. It doesn't matter on your autos. I mean, once you've had them long, it's kind of like having kids. That first kid, you're just real careful with, and by the fourth or fifth kid, you're just dragging them down the street on a piece of cardboard. It doesn't matter anymore. But with plants, you can just go in there, just break it, just knock it over. If it doesn't wilt out, you don't have to chop it off. If you break it too bad, it'll wilt out and then it won't come back and you'll just have to chop it off. That's the worst thing that can happen. So try it on smaller branches first. See how you feel about it. One that you can live without, one that's too long, close to the wall, whatever.
And you can do that Kyle Cushman chiropractic where you take it in your hands and you go like this and kind of be more gentle instead of just snapping it and still get it to bend 90 degrees without breaking it. So you can be more gentle, but you can
Ash is
break
on
it.
his
Yeah.
first child, so he's laughing about dragging him down the street on a piece of cardboard. But after you've had 8 or 10 kids or 5 or 10,000 plants, you
Throw the plants in the back of the truck.
Oh yeah. We're sliding them all the way down 10-foot sidewalks. Kevlar, got that? Cool name, Kevlar. But it could be like Kevin Larson or Larchmont. It could be short. Kevlar could be short for his name. But cool name, Kevlar. And he says he's a fruity, gassy guy. And aren't we all? Way better than this beamy gas.
Yeah, Crystal says she's a runts gal. I think that was Crystal.
I
mean-
think Crystal got some of Ike Breed's run.
There's a reason that in actually let me think. 2 out of the last 3 cups I've gone to, a runts cross has won. White runts, and then I forget the other runts, but it was just another one of those runts like pink runts or something, And I
And they could be runts or they could just be called runts because once something becomes famous like that, everybody likes to name their.
But it's the stuff. I mean, I went to competitions where you could smoke it all, and I picked it out, and I was like, "Yeah, this is
that's
my
the good
favorite.
one.
This is
Yep.
the best. It's the frostiest. It tastes good. It smells good. It's just the best."
And then it won.
And it won, and it's runts. So like, people hate on runts. They hate on cookies. They hate on Oreos. They hate on whatever. But there is a reason sometimes that things are popular. Sometimes they're really good, and sometimes like wedding cake and ice cream cake and stuff is like, oh. That's I don't know. People hate on, but
The freebies
Good
that
stuff.
we do from the website are always some of the best ones. I don't ever want to put out a free. I don't want anybody to think that I have something that's so bad I'm going to give it away for free. I'm going to give away the really good stuff, and you should grow the freebies out. Don't let the freebies be sleepers. The Gorilla Cookies and Runts Cross, excellent freebie.
Yeah.
That one went out for a while. The I've already lost
lemon
track.
pie.
No, lemon pie is the 2 lemon pie crosses are almost sold out. The Critical Jack and the strawberry cheesecake. Yeah, it
Dude,
looks like there's
okay.
like 4 or 5
I
packs of
got
those left.
a unicorn burst, which is unicorn poop lemon star. But dude, I don't know why they didn't call it poo poo lemon.
Poo poo lemon.
I'm real excited for that unicorn burst.
Bone meal is great, Buckeye, but it does take 2 months to break down. And in the autoflower world, I do not got that kind of time, unfortunately. Ash says this is the funniest shit he's heard all week.
What was funny? What are we?
Oh, he
We're just
said
smoking and joking around.
the dude
here.
said his name is Kevin Larson.
Nah.
Yes, yes. I'm very good extrapolator. Gelato flavor with cookies or whatever he said is that the Runts plant, and he just finished a Runt and he's growing a buttermilk biscuit. Crystal said Runts hasn't let her down yet. Stephanie likes food profiles.
The thing I'll
She's
say
got
is,
4 of the Garley Locks in the 1 gallon challenge.
not everybody can grow a runt. All right. By that I mean it can be very dense. So you can have bud rot issues, especially outdoor or in a greenhouse. It really is more meant for an indoor setting a lot of the time. And a lot of Oklahoma growers in the beginning brought in a bunch of Runts clones, and they got a bunch of bud rot and a bunch of issues because it's so dense. Dude, the Orange Portal's fantastic. It's huge, and it has the rarer Valencine terp. Very good stuff. Very good work by Speedrun.
She's a winner.
It's gonna stay in the stable for sure. That's
all the freebies we've done have been stunners. We did the Sour D Windu. Oh my goodness, that one was so nice. And they should be in the same drop. I don't have anything that's like what's a freebie? The freebie's got to be like one of the really good ones, because if you're growing it, I want you to enjoy it. We're only going to put out the top so many. It's pick of the litter. So, and there's only so many picks of the litter to choose from. There's always going to be one cool freebie around. If I can do it, I'll do the pollen donor as the freebie. Like the Orange Portal is the freebie now because it was our pollen donor to get pollen.
I don't know. I was thinking about freebies, just making extra packs and then just giving an extra pack that we recommend based on what they picked. We can kind of tell if they want.
So that's what happens when I run out of the freebie pack. But the freebie pack is actually kind of cool because it doesn't cost any money and they can give it away, or they can. But I tell people grow our freebies first because they are all fire. There's no sleepers in the freebie pile around here.
I'm trying to think of what we should do for the next freebie, but I don't know.
Do we have a Slapple?
Maybe. I mean, there's the second round of Orange Portal that came down. More Orange Portal, but it's the second generation I really like. But we want to mix it up. I don't know. We'll have to check if. I don't know.
I'll have to look. I bet I have something from Ike Breeds still in the Ike Breeds section. I might have something, or I could do. Man, we do have the unmarked. We've got like 10,000 seeds that came off the counting room floor.
It's just a mix of autoflowers.
Yeah, but they're all mixed up. Maybe like 5 or 6 strains mixed together.
No, we can double the amount.
It was just a round or two, right?
If they're mixed mysteries, why don't we do like double the amount of freebies? At least.
Just use the big vial and make sure there's like 10 in there.
If you're getting an Orange Portal freebie, and I don't know how many you do, like 3 or 5.
No, there's 4 to 6 and everything.
Yeah. So doing
which is really 5 or more because I stopped using 3 seeds a long time ago. The only time I put 3
we could do
is if they're too fat to fit more than 3 in the vial.
We could do a bigger vial of the mysteries
I have the bigger vial for regs that we could do for the mystery freebies. I might do mystery freebies next time and see how people like them because they're going to be the same stuff.
It's a mix of all of the same strains.
It's going to be all the same stuff that you and the Locomotive and Ike Breeds and me. That's going to be the same mix of everything that we already have. and possibly some stuff that never got released.
Yeah. Yeah. Stuff that's too.
There wasn't
low
enough
number,
of it, or
gotta breed more.
to be
But
honest,
we're
he
not-
picks them
because
out when the
anything
buds
that-
are big.
Anything
When-
that sucks
when it has
is
big
not
giant
getting
buds,
harvested.
Yeah.
Like,
If it has a big giant bud and it starts to
We're
bud
not
rot, he
gonna-
eliminates it.
we're not gonna dry and process a bunch of bud from crappy little plants. Like, there's no point.
Or plants that have issues. They can't come in the dry room anyway.
You harvest them before. I mean, you cull them way before you harvest them. Usually,
Yeah.
they don't even get to the end of flower if they suck.
But there's some that make it all the way through the dry room, and when they're done drying, you're like, I don't want those anymore. And we just
Yeah, as you
toss
smell them, like the ones that really don't smell like much after giving them a rough dry, but definitely the ones that smell the strongest. I mean, those are your number ones.
Those come through, yeah. Yeah, you got to keep picking and culling all the way from the very first popping seed, because I don't necessarily plant every seed I pop. I'll throw a whole ton of them in a napkin, and the ones that got the big long root, those win, and the rest of them went down the garbage disposal. Yeah, they popped, but their root was tiny, and they weren't in a hurry. Neither am I.
And we'll usually plant like 4 or 5 seeds per pot and quickly pull the 2 or 3 smallest ones, because there's no point in leaving
Unless
a
they're
little
all
tiny
winners.
runt down there.
Unless they're all winners, they can race each other.
I love
to
it
the
when
top.
that happens. And
There's
you get
some in
4 or
here
5
that's
in
got
a
like
pot,
4
and
in a
they're
pot.
all equal. You're like, yes, this strain is a good one. Because I also don't like, I don't like it when everything is completely different, and you have 2 ones that are really short, 2 ones that are really tall, and 1 in the middle, and one smells like pepper, and this smells like lemon, and then the other ones are just sweet. Like,
Her name's got to be Pink Apple Soda.
yeah, pink apple soda from Taste
Or-
Buds. Taste
Or
Buds
it could be
stays in-
Magic Fritters, but one of them in there. No, it's the pink. It's got to be the Pink Apple Soda. So it's like this big bushy plant like this, right? But there's more than one in the pot.
Yeah.
So if you take this big snowball bushy one and you pull it over to the side like a curtain, there's this like little just single cola that's just solid frost in there. That's a totally different pheno of it. But that's the pheno I like. It might have been the shorter plant. I'm glad we didn't pull it, because that's the one that's completely fire.
Taste Buds is one of those European growers that breed out in a greenhouse, and usually their plants are super huge, or very tall, but then not necessarily the hugest buds. It's kind of funny that the little one has the big.
The little one's
cola,
just a cola. It's just a straight cola growing up. But the Double Durban did the same thing. It's just one. Well, it's a cola. It's a cola with about 4 or 5 little arm colas coming out around it.
So we're really happy to cross that, like this comment about the orange. We're really happy to be crossing that over to our other orange groups. It's definitely going to continue to be its own orange line. We want to breed it into an IBL so that when you pop them, they all pretty much come out the same. There's still a little bit of variability in Orange Portal, but they're all orange and they're all frosty. So it's a really nice base. We'll be working on it to try and make it more stable. And then we're working right now on the Key Lime Crush as an alternative, unrelated orange group. We'll continue to cross the groups together and make the most orange, But also it's nice to have like the Key Lime Crush. I kind of nicknamed it the Key Lime Chem. Nancy's is pure key lime, and mine had a little bit more chem. But that's going to be a nice, my plan for that is a chemier orange line. So it's always nice to have at least an A and a B, or 1 or 2 or 3 different types of a general flavor. Like you got your grape, you got your gassy grape, you got your, and you can mix every flavor with every other one, but what is this we're looking at here?
That's Topher Stick.
Nice.
that he's got down in the plant. Let me take this comment off real quick.
So Topher put a silver rod down this plant. Nice. In
There's,
order to
there's
reverse
a few
it.
pictures of it here.
So what's
This
going
is
on?
it all blowed out male.
Nice. Nice. And you're sure those weren't regular plants? Are you sure those were feminized seeds, Topher? I'm sorry, I forget which strain it was, but that is very nice. And what's happening there is silver suppresses the production of ethylene in the plant. So a plant needs ethylene in order to make female body parts. So when it can't make ethylene, it can't make female body parts. So this is how you reverse female plants to make feminized pollen. This is our secret sauce. We shouldn't be telling you this. No, everybody should breed. There's tons of breeding work to do for the whole world and life.
Man, in order to cross
dang.
them all and see which one is the best, we're gonna need more help.
we need 100 oranges that are all unrelated and like F10, so they all come out really reliable, and then the real fun begins. You know, there's hundreds of terpenes.
Large communities of people should get together and work on breeding projects and be able to do the
collaborate.
No
share
one
stuff
person,
back and forth.
yeah, no one person can do all the work it takes.
Yeah.
Even in a lifetime, you can't do all the work.
I'm thinking hundreds of terps, and then you have all the combinations. And then really, so most of what you get on the market is F1s and polyhybrids and, you know, low generation crosses. But other plants, we breed them like 10 generations to get them really inbred and really stabilized for some particular trait. And we I mean, frankly, haven't really had the time as like a planet to do it. It hasn't been legal long enough, and we haven't been doing agriculture and science, you know. We've been breeding it.
No,
like,
people have done it.
I know
So
we've been
people-
intensively breeding it for thousands, but I mean, like with
No, like
modern
in
techniques.
Afghanistan, there are families and whole villages that have worked their breeding projects for the last 100
I
years.
guess it is.
And,
Yeah.
you know,
It's
for
probably
hashish production, they have worked those breeding groups and they have worked their terpenes.
it's probably thousands of years of breeding.
It's thousands
I'll take
of
that.
years
It's
of
probably
breeding.
thousands. About thousands. We need to get more people on this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Maybe
For
we could get
everything
it
we
done
need
in
to
100 or
For
something.
everything that we need to grow in every
There's
combination,
no
we need
being
to grow
done
it to
with
look
it
for the best.
anyways.
Yeah.
And then even after you get all your terps, or you can get any flavor you want, there's so many different combinations where, oh, the best combination is going to be these 9, you know, these
Well,
10
and it's-
different flavors to make the ultimate weed.
The flavors are only half of it. The other half of it is the cannabinoids and the effects.
Mhm.
And like we have the new THCV, which isn't new. It's been discovered, 15 years ago, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And they synthesized it like 12 years ago.
Mhm.
It's been running around in gummies and whatnot. And my buddy calls it Ozempic weed. It's the Ozempic weed. But there's THCO, THCN. There's so many different types of just THC that we want to try to grow, isolate, and get to higher levels. Yeah, there's too much work, too many plants to grow. Everybody needs to help. Everybody needs to breed. Everybody needs to
Start
make
hunting.
seeds out of the seeds that you get from us and then cross them. And when you come up with something really cool, let me know. Send me some.
So, like, without tissue culture, it's hard to clone an
I'll be
auto.
right back.
But
I
it's
gotta
very
do my plant.
easy to pollinate a whole group and select the best smelling ones and set those seeds aside. Like, that's what breeding is all about. Picking the ones that have the most of either a cannabinoid, a terpene. And I actually breed in this order. Terpenes first. I'm picking with my nose. Then on the best ones, you'll notice the ones that are the frostiest and have the best structure, that are super frosty. We don't do tissue culture yet. I want to use tissue culture in order to clone autoflowers. That's in the future. But so for breeding, we first pick by our nose the ones with the most terpenes and the ones, of course, that look the best overall, that are frosty, because trichome density is going to be related to both your cannabinoid content and your terpene content. but we're doing terpenes, and then potency, which is cannabinoids, and then you're looking at structure, which is low leaf, high calyx or high bract. We talk about a calyx to leaf ratio, but I really think it should probably be the bract to leaf ratio. Because the bract is the outside that's coated in trichomes, right? And the calyx is like inside that actually becomes a seed if it's pollinated, right? We should be talking about a bract to leaf ratio, I think.
Well,
Maybe we need to
bud to
talk to a
leaf.
botanist.
I call it bud to leaf.
Yeah, you want
So
low
whatever's
leaf.
in the bud, you want, yeah. So when you're done trimming, you can weigh the trim and you can weigh the bud. The trim should not weigh as much as the bud, ever.
And
The trim
that's
should
like-
weigh 20%, maybe. No more than 20%. If it weighs more than 20% of what the actual bud weighs, then you either chopped up too much bud into your trim,
yeah.
or you've got a really larfy strain that is just not good.
And that's why I put all those other ones, terpenes, potency, structure, and vigor before vigor and yield. Because if I get a huge plant like a GMO plant that can yield multiple pounds, but they're teeny tiny nugs all over, you don't want to trim all that. That's just going to be for bubble hash or for concentrates, you know. You don't want a big, huge, larfy plant. I would rather have a small plant that is very dense
and easy to
and
trim, easy to dry,
rather than a big one. But of course, we're going for all 5 of those characteristics. It has to have terps, has to have potency, which is cannabinoids, and dense trichome frostiness. It has to have, well, the last 3, I forget exactly how to order them, how you would rank them, because it's terpenes, potency, vigor, structure, and then bag appeal. The overall total like presentation.
I think
one,
vigor comes next because we're pick of the litter. So we're really only picking what's got the vigor, because by growing extras and killing them off, or I mean, even like we had plants that we had some pots that we put 12 seeds in, and there's like 3 left.
Yeah,
that's pick of the litter right there. And you know, just the very, very, not only the very best, but the fastest as well. If the ones that fucked around, it took a minute. You didn't make the cut.
But I basically put yield either 4th or 5th. It's the last thing you get, in my opinion. I mean,
well, and it's so subjective, your yield. It depends on your grow environment, your grow container, your grow parameters, what you feed it. It's so dependent. You can take the exact same genetic and grow it in a system where you get a very, very low yield, or you can grow it in a system in a different environment where you get a really, really high yield. Mm-hmm. Just like Robbie got his 585 grams off of 1 Garlilox. That doesn't mean that everybody's going to get 585 grams off of Garlilox.
You take 1 seed, you put it in a pot, you hand water it. You're not hand watering it enough, or maybe you forget or have a trip or something. It gets triggered into flower early, and you yield with 2 ounces. Or you put it in a DWC system, and you get more like 8 to 12 minimum, you know, or a bottom feeding situation. But after I get all the terps, and after they're all really stinky, and after they're all really frosty, and then after they're all not leafy, and they're all bud, and they're not a bunch of leaf, and they're not larfy, and after they're all vigorous, and they're like, you know, fast and just healthy, then I'm picking the one with the highest yield. So I do it in that order. I make sure they all smell that I want to make sure they're all frosty with the cannabinoid, and you know.
Yeah. They gotta have a bling.
Because all you got to do is inbreed and just select the most vigorous multiple times, and you'll get them vigorous. Like you can take any strain you want, get a 10-pack or 2 10-packs or whatever, and just increase its vigor very easily by just picking the biggest, fastest ones. Vigor is like very easy to get relative to a terp. Whereas when you're crossing something with itself, you will see new terps in subsequent generations because there's recessive traits and it crosses in different ways. It's not stable. So you can see different profiles, but I don't think you're going to see something wildly different out of left field. You know, it will have been there in the mix somewhere usually. Although sometimes some plants come out peppery and some come out lemony. Like not any R strains, but I've had like lots of European stuff. What's that like, you know, there'll be peppers, just straight up pepper, and the plant's like black, and then there'll be green plants that smell like lemons. It's like that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, except that it's a mix somewhere of pepper and lemon or caryophyllene and limonene, but
I'm missing the comments. I do need to yeah, exactly. And yeah, you're exactly right. Chopping down a plant that's a pound is the same as doing 4 plants that are 4 ounces.
so 4 autos in a 4x4, I should get how much per plant? It kind of depends on how much light, but you're putting anywhere from like 300 watts, I don't know, to 600 in a 4x4, 4 plants. I mean, usually the bare minimum, if they get triggered to flower really quick, you're only going to get like 2 ounces usually. So I would think you're looking at least a half pound out of a 4x4 with 4 autos. But usually I'm getting more like 8, 12, or between 12 and 16 ounces. So more like a half pound or 3/4 of a pound. And yeah, you can fit a 720 watt in a 4x4. And if it's an LED 720 watt, that's really more like 1,000 watt. And you really can pull multiple pounds from a 720 watt LED. It depends on how you're feeding them. With bottom feeding or like in a hydroponic setup, they can get really big. For pots, I assume you're hand watering. I'd make it, if you do really well, you should be getting more like towards a pound or multiple. But it's still a really good deal and a really good time investment, even if you're only getting like 8 ounces out of a 4x4, because you can get 8 ounces out of a 4x4 like every 100 days with time in between to clean and reset and redo things. So as long as you're getting, you know, like 8 ounces out of it, I'd be happy. And then I'd be really proud of myself if I was getting like pound and a half, 2 pounds. You can get like, you could get like a pound and a half to 2 pounds off of 720 watts of LEDs. For 4 plants. Yeah, that's 8 ounces of plant. Yeah, we do 8 ounces of plant. Easy. You do 10 and 12 ounces. So you should be able to get like a pound and a half to 2 pounds in your 4x4. But don't be disappointed if you get 8. It just means you should probably feed more often. I mean, that's not really a universal recommendation because you can't.
It could be a few
It
things. Could be a few things.
You know. But what I mean by that is sometimes a lot of people, and I myself too, sometimes when I'm hand watering, it's easy to, if you think about it, there's a certain time or a certain time period which you should water it, like when the plant has lost that turgidity and it's really hungry. How often are you getting that perfectly, and how often is it at least an hour or several hours or the next morning till you actually go in and hand water it when they're eating really fast sometimes?
Oh yeah,
it's not. I guess it's not that big of a problem. It's not that hard to keep your plants happy. If you're
attentive,
times a day.
If you're attentive and you're available, but if you've got a real job, a real life, and kids and a wife, it can get really hard.
So Alec, seeded bud. Well, the bud is similar or the same, but if you roll the seed up, it's going to taste like crap. You want to remove all seeds from your bud before you smoke it if it's seeded bud.
But we don't smoke what goes to seed here because we let it actually go to seed, and it pretty much lives in there till it dies. In order for the most number of seeds to mature, we sacrifice the bud. The most seeds ever got off a plant was a photo at 1 pound 3 ounces.
You can get more off a photo.
Yeah,
How-
I got about 25 pounds off a
Yeah.
volunteer last year. That
Yeah.
Durbin poison.
You can get like dozens of pounds off of a photo outdoor. But indoor, a pound is great per plant. That's fine. I don't mean to, a pound is actually great for a photo plant. But I mean, I'm not impressed by a pound from a photo plant, but I'm impressed when people pull pounds off of single auto plants. You have to be a good grower to do that. You have to have good genetics. Everything has to come together well in order to get a pound off of an auto. Because usually autos just flower quicker. I mean, when you only have 30 to 60 days, usually you're only going to get 60 days if you baby them and really have no stress. You have to do a wonderful job. And yet it's no problem to yield like 10 to 12 ounces from an auto, even just with hand watering. But to get pounds is an accomplishment still, right? I mean, I'm always impressed when I see a pound. Pound 5 ounces from an auto, I'll shake your hand. I'll still shake your hand for a pound 5 ounces from a photo though. But it's like cheating. You can get it as big as you want. You know what I mean? You can veg it forever. You could have your one plant. It's always like, oh, if our plant limit's low and we can only grow like 6 plants, what if we make like a huge plant that fills the whole room? Like, yeah, you can do that. Have fun. That would be fun though. And I know a guy who is vegging out a big, huge, it's bonsai'd into like kind of a net, and he grafts different strands onto it. So with his one plant that one plant counts for, he's grafted on a bunch of different strains. So, but I don't know, man.
He says, I can do it.
Taller pots. Yep. Pro tip.
Yeah, that's a pro tip for sure. Taller pots makes a big difference in extending your veg, giving you a bigger plant. He says, with soil or pro mix?
Yeah, what we
Either.
were talking about. I like soil and pro mix, but I would these days I use more pro mix. Definitely by volume.
Misty wants to know what's the most you ever got from one plant. I don't know what the most I ever got from one plant was, because there was so fucking much of it that there was no way that I was keeping track because we're on metric. I'm trying to do wet weight, blah, 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 do it right. No, it got too far. It got too much. It spilled over into the next day. It was a 2-day harvest on a 1-day situation just to get it all hung.
Ike and I got 440 grams off of one of those. It was one of the dubs, not the Dosey dub. It was like triple platinum. It was not the Snicker doubles.
Triple double Dosey G, maybe.
Not triple double Dosey G. It was triple platinum Kush, grape Dosey breath. It was one of those crosses. We have it on our records.
All right.
It was one of those big ones. But it didn't break a pound, unfortunately. But that one was just hand
Well,
watered.
Garlylocks broke a pound and a quarter.
Yeah, but we
Over
haven't broken a pound with a Garlylocks yet. But also, we aren't growing commercially, really. It's just a different setting now. Because it's not for flower.
Now that it's all for seed, it's different. But
Like, I'm not.
we used to grow those same strains for flower for the market,
Yeah.
which is why there's so many of them, and they're all
If we really want to set records, we got to set up
closely
a
related.
deep water culture
But
or
so
recirculating or.
he wants to know, is a 3-gallon big enough? Yes, a 3 gallon's big enough. We're doing a 1-gallon challenge right now. If you water it enough, a 1 gallon's big enough.
We were getting like 12 to 16 ounces out of 2 gallons.
The 3-gallon is plenty big enough. But it's already 8 o'clock. It's already the end of the show. I haven't done the giveaway yet. So it's time to do the giveaway for everybody who hung in here. There's 120 people who sat here the entire time hoping they could win something. Or maybe just laughing at my stoned ass and listening to the smartness coming out over here on the right of me. But we are giving away the seed and sprout kit from GrowFam. And you need to go to thegrowfam.com in order to claim your prize. And right up at the top, there is a claim prize right in the middle of that green bar at the top of their website. And I did put in a secret, not a hashtag, but a comment. And 7 people have said the magic words so far. I will go ahead and share that with you too. So everybody can get in on this very first giveaway. There's no hashtag. Oh, Brad says, we enjoy your company. Thank you. Thank you guys for even coming by and hanging out with me on Saturday night. But we're about to give away the seed and sprout kit from the GrowFam. So get your high hashtags in there. They're not hashtags, just hi. And there was already like 8 or 9 people who just said hi.
Does it have to be lowercase?
No.
Okay, case insensitive. Hello.
No, it's not case sensitive at all.
Greetings. How many greetings? Howdy. How do you do?
There's no hashtag, masterpiece.
Konnichiwa.
It's just hi.
Hello.
It makes it real easy and real quick, and that way we'll know who's in here really watching and paying attention and who's done fall asleep on us. Says we have 40 entries so far. Out of 123 people, we got 40 up there.
All you gotta say is hi.
Just
be entered to
H-I. Hi. Hi. How high are you? Is a good one, Babs.
Hi.
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 Hi. Waylon Maccabee, you must be high. You spelled it wrong. Hi, Christina. CBD strains. I haven't worked on any CBD strains since I quit doing photos, but I have a photo that's like a 1-to-1, and I might be trying to start working in and turn it over to auto. I'm just going to have to grow a couple in the garage or someplace, maybe in a closet this winter, someplace separate from everybody else. I need to do I need to hunt through them and do a little stabilization first. I need to make sure that they're not going to be all hermy. I need to find one that's not going to herm. But
I'm doing
they
that.
have the tendency. So
I'm doing that CBD project, CBDV project, but it's going to be semi-auto instead of auto or fast photo or anything stable. It's going to be semi-auto, which comes of a mix of fast photo, auto, and photo. So that's kind of awkward. But for me, I'm going to mix CBD in and do mixed ratio stuff, which is like pollinating a CBD plant with a THC plant. But I'm not going to personally do just pure CBD plants until we finish the terpenes. And then after we have, multiple options of each different terp group that we want to do and keep carrying on forward into the future, then I'm going to go back and do it in CBD, basically. But I'm actually going to be doing like mutants like Freak Show, Bastard, and Duck's Foot in the different terps in THC before I do just pure CBD. Because for me, pure CBD, I have to have.
There's a
CBD
lot of
mix.
it out there. It's really easy to get.
Yeah.
It's so available already. It's not hard for me to get. So
It's just THC for me.
Yeah,
That's what
CBD.
I do. I'm waiting to do CBD until the end, and
With it already being federally legal, so many people are doing it, and there's so many extractions of it. I don't feel like I need to step into that space. That's really not my lane. But I know enough about good medicine to know I need CBD in my strains.
yeah.
So I want to incorporate it, but it wouldn't be a main thing. In fact, I don't need to go past 1-to-1. 1-to-1's great.
Yeah. Pure CBD last.
A
But
1-to-1
1-to-1s are going to be
1-to-1 in a sativa that's uplifting, and yeah. I can totally see it with the THCV. I could see doing the CBDV would probably be a really good
which is
version
why
too.
I was trying to get the CBDV started. And so, because I haven't tried CBDV, so I wanted to, try that for myself.
Yeah,
But
we'd have to check it out.
There's issues.
Yeah. So no, the giveaway is the seed sprout kit from the Grow Fam over at thegrowfam.com. The winner tonight is going to get a seed and sprout kit, and then we'll draw one more winner for a pack from the new drop, and they can choose one of these three. And when I get off here, I'll get the multi-pack put up so that you can get the discount on buying all 3 strains. So it depends on if the genetics claim to be CBD only, there will probably not be enough THC. But it's very, very easy to increase THC. Even just being low on nitrogen can throw a CBD plant over the line on testing.
Mm-hmm. If it's really, sometimes you kind of got to get a test, and that's why sometimes it's nice to get flour that has tests on it rather than the seed, because there can be variability in the seed, and usually there shouldn't be enough THC to make you pop on a test. But if you're getting tested, I don't know, I would spend the $20 to get a potency test. At least it costs $20 in Oklahoma to get a potency test
The
on your
seeds
flour.
themselves don't have any THC
No.
or CBD. So it might be that they're advertising the seeds themselves have no THC.
Advertisement can be inaccurate, and they can label some things, oh, it only has CBD for legal purposes.
And you get different test results from different grow environments and over time, and even just sending the same sample to 3 labs, you're going to get 3 different results.
So Cole, stop. If you're looking for stuff for your wife and she can't have any THC, I don't know where you live, but in most states you can order CBD flower from a lot of different sites. I like the Hemp Flowers subreddit on Reddit. They have a list of verified vendors with 30 different vendors, where in most states you can order the CBD flower. They'll have tested it, and they'll have test results showing you it has this much of this and this much of that. Now, you can't always trust those, but that's why I like the Hemp Flowers community, because they rate it. Sometimes people even retest it. So if you go with one of the top 10 rated vendors on hemp flowers, I've always gotten really good flour, and I've never gotten high from it when it was CBD, and you're not supposed to. So look for vendors that have certificates of analysis with their products. All right, there's 64 people
There's
that have
64
said hi
highs.
for this giveaway.
Hi.
We can only count, 5 seconds or 10
Yeah,
seconds.
we're going to do them one pretty much right after another. We're going to do the seed and sprout kit from thegrowfam.com, and then we're going to do a dealer's choice pack of these seeds here.
There we go.
We've got
2 more.
66, 67. That's the year I was born. I'm getting so old now. I turned 57.
Nice.
And I can't even turn my age backwards and be 75. Fuck that. Al turned 42 yesterday,
Yeah.
and at least he can go like flip it for 24.
Yeah, I'm 32.
You
23.
can flip yours for 23. Yeah, I'm so damn old. Flipping it don't help. That's what happens
It'll
when you
flip
get
back
old.
around when you're 61. You'll be back in bright sunny days. Okay, let's draw this. We're still at 67.
All right. Yep, we're gonna hit the spin on it. Good luck, everybody. Mike Aldana. Congratulations, Mike. I was just talking to Mike in the messenger, so I'm not even gonna wait for him to pop up and say nothing. There he is. I already know he's here. I was writing his name down.
All right, what's going to be our next phrase giveaway?
I'm gonna do it on the same thing. I'm gonna do it. Well, should we do a new tag?
No, I mean, that's fine. Get your highs in. You missed out on the first one. We got 127, 126 people. But
Mike, you want to get with
50 more.
get a hold of Sir Steve-O to get the code to go to growfam.com and claim your prize. And congratulations, Mike. Yes, congratulations. On the next one, on the seeds, let's give it away for, let's do trivia. Let's do a who's been paying attention tonight question. Surely we've talked about something obscure and crazy
I
enough
hate these because I'm like, oh, I don't remember anything.
that somebody was paying attention. All right.
No, let's let luck, Lady Luck. You got something good? I'm scared of you guys.
We can do a number.
Yeah, let me pick the number here.
I'm going to do a long number.
Pick a number between 1 and 128.
I'm doing like a long number. We're going to pick a number between 1,000 and 2,000.
Okay.
It's a big number. Whoever gets the closest to the number, it's already written down. Between 1,000 and 2,000, whoever gets closest to this number without going over is going to win the seats. Cindy Paul says 1420, 1778, 1212, 1234, 1961. I'm not going to be able to call them all out, but I'm watching.
This.
That's the closest one I've seen so far.
Oh, we can't give them hints.
They don't know which one I wrote down, but I wrote somebody's
but
down.
We know that somebody's close.
I saw another close one.
There's a lot that are very far away, though. So let me just say, a lot of you are way too high. No, that's unfair.
They know the number's over
Unfair
1,000.
for the fast guessers.
1, 2, 3, 4 is a good guess, Cindy.
Hints. Too many hints. You got to be impartial. They're going to get it.
No, but like if I'd have been really fucked up, I'd have just wrote that.
Whoa, we're getting multiple guesses in here.
Uh-oh, are we guessing more than one?
one? Whoa. We didn't lay out the rules before, but you get one guess, all right? There's no take back seat.
Everybody's stoned. They're just writing down numbers. They're waiting for me to go, bingo. I'm all up on the screen like a little kid at
We're
Christmas.
going until you guys get it right.
Yes, we're not no. Until someone guesses the exact correct number, we will just keep sitting here. Class, you may not leave till you get the answer right.
Tasha, there's multiple votes up in here. You were so close, but I mean that's which one do we use? You know, I don't know, man. I don't know. I might have to veto that one because I mean that. I think like, even though that's not as close, I mean, Adam Jones got the answer. Congratulations. Sorry, Nancy didn't put it down on paper. It's a dry erase board. Okay, so
So
get it right.
close.
If you can do multiple, then what's
Danielle.
where's the decency?
Danielle. Sorry, Danielle. Danielle, you automatically win for going completely off the charts. We're just gonna make it Danielle because hey, talk about aim high.
It's
You gotta
a number
be
between
high.
1.
That's
and
all right. She
2,000.
automatically wins because she just went way
zero.
out there.
0 and 2,000. I forgot what it was.
Danielle is the winner for shooting for the entire sky. That's probably your address or something. It's the only thing number she can think of. Let it go.
Debbie,
let
no
it go.
copycatting. Cindy, just going higher isn't gonna mean
No, we gave it to Danielle. The number was 1408. I almost erased it.
Tasha, you got close.
Tasha
But with
got
those
close.
multiple votes, I mean, come on, where's the decency in these competitions? I don't know. Not to say you're not decent, but multiple guesses.
We were looking for the exact number, and Danielle went way up there. That was awesome. That was awesome. So, yeah, Danielle, you're going to get your pick of one of these 3 packs. Just make sure you send me a DM.
Didn't follow directions.
Yeah. So let me make the directions really clear. In order to collect your prize, Danielle, you need to send me a direct message so that I can give you a code to use on the website to pick them up and get free shipping, and they won't cost you anything.
I mean,
Diane was so close at 1400.
should do 2. Just
Should I do
saying.
2?
I'm just saying. Because Tasha also
All
got
right,
1400, but there were multiple.
All right, you're right.
Guesses.
We'll do the actual winner, and then we'll do the wild card. We'll do the wild card and the actual. Diane, I had your number wrote down.
You gotta hand it, okay?
I did have
Didn't go
Diane's
over.
number
It's
wrote
the
down.
closest without going over.
All right. Now we have Mike Aldana, and we have Danelle, and we have Diane.
Buckeye says, my guess was closer. But did you go over 1408? We might have to do some
And how many guesses? We saw so many guesses
Might have
go
to do some
by.
research.
You know, I stopped rewatching these a long time ago.
I was trying to pay pretty close attention. And
1333 is what I see for Buckeye.
Close. Not as close, Buckeye. Sorry. Debunked.
He may have done another guess, though. Lots of people did multiple guessing. He did 1367, still not enough.
Yeah, it's multiple votes. Not looking good, bud. If anyone has any growing questions, comments, concerns, Flavors you like, flavors you wish you had.
Jason's like, it's gotta be her birthday.
We didn't say no multiple votes. We usually say that, but
All right, that's all of it. And we've already run over time, so we're gonna get on out of here.
terpenoline's on the list. We'll do some terpenoline.
Terpenoline's nice.
Bubblegum's on there. Terpenoline is just going to be a longer process because it's, for the most part, we got to convert photos over to auto.
I'm smoking on a lemon cherry gelato at the moment.
There's not a wide selection of terpenoline autos out there already, so a lot of it is going to have to come from photo periods. So,
Which takes a while to get it moved over. So,
years.
in a lot of selection and doing it again and selecting and doing it again. And to keep the same smell, that's only in a percentage of them.
We have some good Jack Herrera, and we can get some cuts of good chem cleaner Jack Herrera or Jacks. But what I can get is photo periods, and most of the chem autos I grow are not really terpenoline. We have a lot of nerolidol, but it's just not out there. We got to convert it over from photo period for the most part.
Yeah.
Even Night Owl's chem stuff is really not. It's
the
not
gene pool in autos is a lot smaller than the gene pool in photos for sure.
There's work to do.
There's a lot of work to do. All right. Well, thank you guys all for showing up here and hanging out with us. Still 115 people in the building. You guys are diehards. I love you so much. Head over to the website. Use the GrowFam15 code to get money off. I'll put the multi-pack up right after we get done here. I love you. Happy growing. Peace out. Good night.